Thank you.
So today we will start our first session. So before I start, Murali, you need to choose mic and speaker, and you need to come on the client version. You're on the web version, Murali. Hello, Murali, are you there? Hello.
And this is Anat. Actually, I think Murli had a problem to download the
Okay.
client version.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll start the session. Okay, Murali. Okay, fine. So yesterday we were actually seeing what is HANA, what is an in-memory DB, and what are column-oriented databases. So today we'll try to focus on hope everyone is able to see my screen, right? So if here we have OLTP systems, online transaction processing system, like ECC. So at the ECC, we keep on writing data, and these data is updated to the database tables. The disadvantages of these tables are, as you know, these are on the database, which is MS SQL. Is it disk oriented, row oriented, sequential processing, because above the sequential processing. So we need to move data or transfer data using BODS to HANA. So now we are choosing BODS to move data to HANA. So first of all, what are the different versions we have in our landscape? BODS, we are working on 4.2, SP4, HANA 1.x, Service Pack 8, SLT 2.0, DM IS 2011, SP5, DX is a service which is relevant to HANA, ECC 6.0, EHP 7, MS SQL 2008, and business objects, business intelligence, the version we have BOBI 4.0 SP2. So this is our landscape. This is our entire landscape. And we create sales orders, delivery document, all the transactions at the ECC via data provisioning tools. We transfer the data to HANA. Now once these tables are transferred via data provisioning tools, and these tables are in memory, column oriented, parallel processing. So first of all, let us try to understand our landscape that we have, and then we will try to understand on how we can move data from ECC via BODS to HANA system. Now when you're working on our system, first you have to go to MSTSC. Type in MSTSC. Click connect. This is the IP address. Give the username and password. Click OK. Double click on HANA Studio. So HANA Studio is the UI for HANA. Expand instance. So here is the HANA Studio. Now if you want to add, now already I have the existing one. If you want to add HANA Studio, the instance at the HANA Studio, click Add System, host name, HANA Server, instance 07, SAP HANA. Just I'm showing you our landscape. Just I'm showing you. So no one is able to hear me. I think someone is not able to hear me.
No, we can hear you. I can hear you.
You can hear me, right? Satar? Satar, other participants are able to hear you. I think you have some issue from your side.
Nagarjuna, this is Mahendra here. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Mahendra. Okay, so we'll just continue. So the host name is HANA Server, instance 07 SAP HANA. So here I'm trying to add instance to the HANA Studio. Username HANA user, and password, we all share the same username and password. So give W capital welcome 1234 and checkbox store username and password and click finish. So once you finish, here you have HANA instance. If you double click on the HANA instance, so in order to verify the version, here you have version 1.x 80. So HANA version 1.x SP8. HANA 1.x SP8. A little correction over here. The BOBI we have updated recently. So this is not 4.0. This is 4.1. So next, so this is target system. And here we have the source system. So let's move on to the source system. So if you go to the source system, double click on SAP logon. But the other participants are able to hear Satar. I think there is some issue. Probably what you can do is you can just log out and log in again. I think he's not able to. Oh, I think he's mute yourself. A minute, unmute. Satar, can you hear me? Hello, Satar?
Hello.
Yes, Satar, you have any issue?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Satar. Yes, Satar, please tell me. Hello.
Hello.
Please give me 1 minute, guys. Okay, Ashraf, yeah. Thank you. So now here I was just trying to show you our landscape, how our landscape we have, and this is the same landscape you would be having in the real time with relevance to HANA. So HANA that we're working on, someone is not muted themselves. Murali, could you please mute yourself? Thank you. So now at the ECC system, so source system, double click on the ECC, give the username and password. Username is Surya and password is S capital URYA 1234. Continue with this logon. Click continue. Click systems, status, component information. Now ECC is 6.0 EHP7, and if you want to see the SLT, This one. It is DMIS SP5 2011. So when you have 2011, it is 2.0 and SP5. DMIS 2011, which is 2.0 SP5, and ECC EHP 6.0 EHP 7. So we directly have an add-in in the ECC. SLT we installed on the ECC 6.0. EHP 7 is the version. So whenever you actually work on the resumes, whenever you need to actually keep these resumes, because these HANA has a compatibility with BOBI as well as with BODS.
Nagarjuna.
Yes, please.
Hello, Nagarjuna.
Yes.
Mahendra here.
Hi, Mahendra. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
please.
this DMIS component will by default it will. Yeah, this DMIS component by default will come with SAP installation, right? Or do we need to add on this?
Actually, if you see ECC 6.0 EHP 6, you need to add in, but from ECC 6.0 EHP 7 onwards, it's automatically coming in.
Okay.
But from 6.0 we have to add in, but from 7.0 automatically it comes. All right?
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So SLT 2.0, just I'm trying to show you what versions we have. 2.0 DMIS 2011 SP5, 6.0 EHP 7. So what BODS version we are going to use? Click Data Services. To give the username and password. If you want to see the version of the data services, help, click on About. This is 4.2 SP2, but here I have written wrong. I have written here SP4, so let me correct this. It's SP2. I think from BOBI, I think it is something SP4. In two of them, something should be SP2 and SP4. I'll check at the later stage. BODS 4.2 SP2. This is the version of the BODS. And here we are going to use Data Services Workbench. And here the UI is HANA Studio. And let's go to the BOBI now. In BODS we also have SP4, which is released into market, but currently we are using SP2. And BOBI, I think this should be SP4. So this is all the latest available in market except BODS. BODS we have SP4 which is released, but we have SP2. There is no much major difference. So if you click Help, About. So 4.1 support pack 4 is the version of the BOBI. And also we have in our landscape, we also have BW, that is BW powered by HANA, because we are going to also cover the topics which are interrelated with BW powered by HANA. Which is BW 7.4, SP8. So this is the latest version again in the market, and BW 7.4 SP8 can support only on the HANA SP8. So let's go to the SAP logon, BW, give the username and password. Click systems, status, product SAP NetViewer BW 7.4, BW 7.4 SP8. This is again the latest version in the market. And this BW 7.4 SP8 is powered by HANA. If you see the database, which is HDB, which is HANA Studio. So BW uses HANA as its database. And then finally MS SQL. Now if you see ECC, ECC is on MS SQL database. ECC, systems, status, database is MS SQL. Now this is OLTP system. Start, go to all program, Microsoft SQL Server 2008. And DXE is a configuration. Now for enabling of DXE, as a configuration, you have something called Access Engine. Now this will be enabled by the HANA administrator, libDXE. Now from SP7 onwards, automatically the Access Engine is enabled. And the configuration for DXE is done at the ECC, SM59. DXE, SAP HANA direct extractor connection. So this is the working environment we have. And regarding the usernames and passwords, you can write an email to me for requesting the usernames and passwords. I think most of you know already my email. If you do not know, you can just request for a username and password for doing your exercises. Now this is my email. And if you have any queries regarding the system, you can contact to 77 999 111 29. If you have any queries, you can contact this number. All right. Any questions on our landscape? And I'll also tell you the usernames and passwords. But apart from usernames and passwords, any questions on the landscape? Just
So
to
basically,
this is just to match your expectation. This is just I'm showing the expectation from my side to you. So everything is latest that we have. Yeah, someone is asking. Please go ahead.
yeah, this is Ashraf. So basically, you get access to BW 7.4 and HANA Studio.
Everything you get the entire. Not only this, you get all the systems access to the entire landscape.
Oh, okay. So as a HANA consultant, you should have access to all the environment.
Exactly.
In order to okay.
Exactly.
And if you are strictly a security person, does that still apply to you as well, or just a Pacific or HANA Studio and ECC or BW?
I think you need to have everything access because you have a roles in SLT, you have roles in BODS, ECC, HANA, BOBI. So if you're basically taking care of all the entire security part, you need to have access to. But in specific to the security to BOBI, you would be having BOBI security, ECC security. Now usually it depends. Now if you're a senior security architect, probably you have everything. Now if you're working on a very low level security, I mean only which is specific to HANA, then you'll be only given to HANA.
I see.
So don't forget to dial in 00. If you're calling from US, don't forget 0091 or from any other country. So no questions, right? So I'll move on to the exercise. Okay. So first we start with SAP BODS. Initially, once you install HANA database is empty. It doesn't have any data, no tables, no business tables. The HANA database is empty. So you have ECC, the source system, so this is the OLTP system, and the middleware you have BODS. So here there are two roles in BODS. One is called BODS admin. One role is called as BODS administrator, and the other one is called as ETL developer, also or BODS consultant. So what are the responsibilities of admin and ETL developer in the HANA project? The BODS administrator takes care of installation of BODS, and also he basically creates something called local repositories and job server. I'll try to explain in detail, but I'm just telling you on a very high level what are the roles of each guy. So each developer, suppose say you have 10 developers in the project, each developer will have a local repository and a job server assigned to the repository. What is a local repository? Local repository contains the metadata, and job server help to transfer the data. So here we have local repository, which is also known as local object library, and you have job. So these are the main components of BODS: local repository and the job server. These are the main components. The ECC, you have tables, and these tables I connect to BODS, which are called data stores. So one data store for HANA, the other data store for ECC. These are like tunnels. They actually tunnel into the source system and target system, and they and they establish a pipeline. So via this pipeline, the data is transferred. So the data flows from this pipeline to the HANA, and this is taken care by the job server. So job server helps to transfer data from the source system to target system. So what is the role of a ETL developer? Could someone mute yourself? Ashraf, please mute yourself. Thank you. The role of
Mr. Nagar, I have a question. So basically, BODS is only meant for making the batches in order to transfer the data from source to target. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So here, as a BODS developer or a consultant. The roles are, first is we need to create a project, create data store, import tables from source system to BODS repository, create a replication job, execute the job, check data at HANA tables. So this is the role of the BODS consultant in order to move data from ECC to HANA. The job servers are created at server manager, and the repositories are created at repository manager. And this is done by the admin guy. And this is what we have to do. So what does the administrator do? Let me show you. Now she basically log on to the system. Let me close everything. I can start from the scratch. If you start all program, data services 4.2, SP2 is the version, and here you have data services server manager and repository manager. And the repository manager creates local repositories and server manager create job server. So you have data services workbench, the system is server, username Surya. So we all share the same username and password. Do the password S capital URYA 1234 and click log on. The first step is, as a developer, create a project. Now what is a project? Projects are like folders to group ETL flows. Example, in real time if you see, especially in ECC there are several applications. Like let us take HR. In HR you have payroll, time management, e-recruitment, e-learning, compensation management, succession planning. So a lot of applications are there. In SD, if you take sales orders, deliveries, billing, FI, account receivables. So what are we trying to do over here is, this folder helps in organizing these ETL flows based on application specific. Like SD, FI, HR, just trying to organize using these projects. And data stores are like connections. They tunnel into the source system and they tunnel into target system. So we have to create connections for source and target. Import tables to BODS repository, to local repository. Contains the metadata. Job server helps to transfer data. And finally check data at the HANA system. Now these tables are column oriented. In memory does parallel processing. So let's start first creating a project like folders. Now we are at the BODS. Click File, click New, create a project. Let us create SAP. SD. I'm giving a project name, SAP SD underscore weekend batch. Now here you see the repository. I'm taking a repository 503, and how did we get this repo 503 and who did create? This is done by the administrator. I'll show you this on the next class, how these repositories are created. These are created by the administrators at the repository manager. They create a local repository. Just for now select 503 and click finish. So we are tying up project to the repository.
Yeah, Nagarjuna, sorry to disturb you.
No problem, please go ahead.
Yeah, one question here. Are these repositories are user specific or project specific?
Repositories are user specific at the designer,
Okay.
And project specific at the workbench.
Okay. That means BODS admin will create the repositories, right?
Exactly.
Those repositories, the admin will create based on by user specific repositories, or I think they will create a project specific repositories, right?
They're actually user specific.
Okay.
But here we assign to the project, but usually they create user specific repositories.
Okay.
So it means that when I work on this repository, other developers will not be able to work on this repository because it is only assigned to one developer.
Okay. To maintain versioning and all.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So
But
that means, for example, if we would like to work on some new project, so in that time we required one more repository created for us for our user ID, right?
exactly. But still, you have an opportunity where if you can right click on the project and you can go to the properties, yeah, and you can change the repository as well. Please
Okay.
choose link DS repository. You have an opportunity to change, but we
Okay.
need to have an access to that repository. The user should be authorized to access that repository.
Okay. But in this case, if we change the repository, the previous development what we did, that will be overwritten by the new repository, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. So once we assign the repository to the project, right click on the project, new, create data stores. Now what is a data store? Data stores are like connections which tunnel into the source system. So our source system here is ECC. So click next. And data store type, select SAP application. The reason being we are connecting to the ABAP application layer, not to the database. So give the application server name, that is the SAP application server name. In order to know the application server name, click SAP logon. Right click on ECC, click properties, and you have the IP address. Copy the IP address, give the application server name, username, Surya, password, S capital URYA 1234. Client is 800 and instance number is 67. And click test connection. So now it's able to communicate. The ECC data store is able to communicate to the ECC system. Connection test succeeded. Close.
Yeah.
Click
Now I
finish.
just have one more question here.
Yes, please.
Yeah. The communication will be done by using RFC destination, as I can see in the screen, right?
Exactly.
Where you have given the destination SAP DS.
Exactly.
So that's a standard RFC destination, or do we need to create that RFC destinations?
This is the RFC destination. that is created at
Okay.
the Data Services Management Console. That's already existing over there, which is called SAP Connector.
Okay. That means the normally basis guys will create these RFC destinations from BOS to ECC, right?
Yeah, but the data store is the role of developer.
Okay.
So the data stores that we have to create, but the RFC destination is configured by the administrator.
Okay. No, my question is, do you have a standard? Is it SAP DS is a standard RFC, SAP standard RFC destination, or is it a custom one?
Standard one. This is a standard one.
Standard. That means it's the RFC destination might be already existed with SAP installation.
Exactly.
Just we need to configure it. That's it, right?
Yeah, we need to configure this destination. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So once this is done, once you test connection, by using the RFC connection, it's able to communicate to the ECC. Now we have created one data store for ECC. The other one we are going to create for HANA. Right click on the project, new, data store. Click next. HANA is a database. So select database. Database type. Select SAP HANA. We can directly connect to HANA without an ODBC connection. So we don't have to need ODBC connection. We say no. So we're going to connect directly native to HANA. Database server name. In order to provide this information, click Start, HANA Studio. Right click on the instance, click Properties, click Additional Properties. Here you would find the server name, HANA server, and port number 30715. Provide the username. HANA user. Provide the password. W capital welcome 1234. A W is the capital letter.
Mr. Nagar, I have one question to ask you.
Yes, please.
These port numbers are provided by the network guys, or how are you going to get these port numbers?
This is created by the HANA administrator. So the port number is nothing but 07 is the instance number. So this is configured when you do the installation of HANA system, and this is done by the administrator.
I got it. Thank you.
Click test connection. So we have an issue. I think the password is wrong. Let me recorrect it. And click finish. So now we have ECC as a source connection and HANA as a target connection. Now both the systems, which is the source system and the target system, is able to communicate via BODS. Now we have completed 2 steps over here. Step 1, to create a project. Step 2, connections to the source and to the target.
Nagarjuna, just
Yes, please. Will you please be a little louder? I'm actually not able to hear your voice.
okay. Just we have created a source data source and target data source, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't linked both of them. How can they both will communicate?
BODS is actually linking both of them. BODS is a middleware.
Okay, my question here is, maybe in one project there might be multiple source data sources, right?
Yeah.
And there might chances of I don't think so. There might be chances for multiple HANA data sources. So if in case if you have multiple cases, how the BODS will understand which source system needs to be mapped with the which target system?
Okay, I got your question. Your question was, if I import the tables from the source system, if I want to transfer the table from this source system to this target system, probably you may have multiple source systems. Now how does BODS understand? Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So in this case, when you create a replication job, the replication job, it basically asks us from what source system that you want to import the data.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
No, that means we need to mention those details in the replication job.
Exactly. Correct.
Okay. And one more thing is which type of connection that will use this HANA data source, because you have selected no to ODBC connection.
Native connection. There is a native connection which connects to HANA.
Native connection.
Direct connection to HANA. There is no ODBC. Because both the tools are from HANA, so it has a native connection communication with the HANA system.
Fine.
So until now we have completed 2 steps. One is creation of project and creation of data store. The third step is to import tables from the ECC ABAP application layer, which is an SAP application, to the BODS repository. In order to accomplish this step, click Tables, click Import Object by Name, and let's import few tables, few standard tables. VBAK is a table that's on the ECC. Click Finish. The table with almost 144 columns has been imported. So this is the metadata, skeleton of the table. Let's import some few more tables. VBRP, Mara, TV KO. I'm sorry, whenever you give a wrong entry, it doesn't take in TV KO, TV KOT, TSPA. I'm just taking some standard tables randomly. TSPAT, C1 IDEA, I'm just entering few tables. All these are standard tables from SAP. So now, these are the following tables that I'm trying to import from ECC. So let me show you one table on the ECC side. Double click on ECC to view these tables. Give the username, password, continue with this logon. Because this is demo system, so we have multiple users logging in with the same user ID, which is not accepted in the real time. But here I'm using the same user ID. We are all going to use the same user ID. Continue with the click S11. S11 is a transaction code. SE11 is a transaction code, is a way you can call ABAP UIs. This is to view ABAP dictionary objects. I'm just viewing a table, VBAK, or any table like Mara, material master table. All these are standard tables provided by SAP as a part of ECC. Click Contents and click Execute. So this is the data we have here. We have almost 17,731 records. And then let's take few more tables. Let's see other table. Click Display, Contents, we have 73,665 records. So all this is business data. Data is owned by business. So all this is data is owned by the business. So these are the standard tables, and tables are given as a part of the standard SAP implementation. So now what am I trying to do is I'm actually trying to import the tables from ECC to BODS repository, which is repo 503. Please see. If you see here, the project is associated with repo 503. So what does it say? No tables have been imported yet. Now after the import is done, once I save, Click the Save button. Now here you have the tables. So 11 tables are now imported to the repository. So from the ECC, you have one more copy of the structure that is at the local repository. And this local repository is on a database which is MS SQL. So the local repository is configured in such a way that these repository tables are at the MS SQL database. So there are standard tables that are generated when we create a local repository, and all the metadata that is imported is at the local repository. So we have done the third step. The third step here was to import the tables from source system to BODS repository. Let us create the next one. Create a replication job. Right click on the project, click new, and create a replication job. Give the job name REP underscore ECC to HANA, and give the description as well. And click finish. Now please see, this is the data store. At this data store we have tables. Now if you would like to move all the tables or individual table, you can just drag and drop the table over here. But if you would like to take all the tables, just select the tables and drag and drop. So now this is where we're actually taking the tables from this source system. Drag and drop. All the tables from the ECC we drag and drop into the replication job. Now at the replication job, we need to specify what is the target system that you would like to take to. Probably you may have several target systems, but which one of that you wanted to take. So you need to specify at the replication job, okay, this is the one. So you have an option to specify. When you select the replication job root node, here you can specify the target database properties. So whatever the data stores, you could see here. Click input help. Now here we would see the target data store is a HANA data store, because we have only one data store, which is a target. And ECC cannot be a target data store. ECC are always a source data store. Double click and we are going to take all the tables to the HANA user schema, and we would like to replicate schema and data because these tables are not existing in the target. Click validate. So here you have an option where you can validate, the tick button, and then click execute. Now please see, this is the repository and this one is the job server. The job server is linked to the repository at the server manager. So click finish. Now once you finish, the job will start to create the containers based on the repository information and transfer the content from source system, that is from ECC, to HANA system.
And did we specify anywhere this is a row based or column based to HANA?
By default it takes as a column oriented, but still you can configure, you can take it as a row oriented.
Okay.
Because HANA takes all the tables by default as column oriented, especially for business tables.
Quick question. No, there is no sync job you can run where you can migrate the entire table, whatever exists in that source system, into the target, or you have to do it table by table?
Good question. Especially if you see we are doing something called sidecar scenario. I'll tell you what is a sidecar scenario. A sidecar scenario is something your existing ECC is on the database, which is MS SQL. At the MS SQL, it is cheaper to store data because the data is on hard drive. Because you have more than 1 million tables in SAP, and all these tables are occupying space on disk, hard drive. But here, what actually I'm trying to do is, for extreme analytical process, I only replicate the required tables. Now, how do I know what are those required tables? It is based on the business scenario. Now, for example, the customer gives in my requirement saying that I would like to see customer information, I would like to see material, and I would like to see what are the sales orders and deliveries, for example. Now in this case, in order to develop this report, I create a technical spec. At the technical spec, I give in all the details like what is the table and what column I require from this table. So based on the technical specification, I only replicate those tables that are required for high performance reporting. And why we choose this way is because memory is very expensive when you compare with disk. So in a sidecar scenario, I have a flexibility to only require to replicate required tables, but the entire database is not on memory. But as per your scenario, if you would require that scenario which is called as ECC on HANA, that is more, if you want the entire ECC tables on HANA, now what we do is we have a solution called Business Suite on HANA where you could have ECC powered by HANA. So all your tables would be on HANA. Now in this case we do not require BODS because the entire tables of the ECC is on HANA. So mostly suitable for operational style of reporting. And this is only for cost optimization. I'm doing like this. I use this scenario only for cost optimization. Because if ECC is in HANA, the footprint on the memory would be very large when compared to the sidecar scenario.
So Mr. Nagar, I have one question to ask you.
Yes, Mohammed.
Yes, regarding this sidecar scenario, so this applies only on the target server target system you're talking about, or it starts from where?
Sidecar scenario in the sense the existing system will be running as it is, and we only move required tables as per the business requirement to the HANA system, and then we generate reports in BOBI. Something like this. Please see in this landscape, you see I'm using BODS to replicate data to HANA, and then I create reports on top of this. Now still I have to do data modeling, that's a different aspect. So once the tables are in, I need to do data modeling, and then the presentation layer would be BOBI. So why we use a sidecar scenario? The main reason being cost optimization, and then especially when doing POC, proof of concepts, because you're not sure on how to utilize HANA at your landscape, and then you want to use the reports which are running on the ECC, and you would like to compare the performance on the ECC and HANA. The reports which are actually running 20 minutes would run 1 second over here. The table is same, data is same, but here it is column oriented. In memory, here it is row oriented, hard drive, and ABAP is a sequential processing. ABAP does sequential processing. It's good for single selects, but HANA is very good for set processing of data. So Ashraf, we can have both the scenarios in place. It depends on the requirement.
But Mr. Nagar, in a practical scenarios, most of, like I would say 99%, whenever you received any kind of project or work, it basically precisely on some tables, like some specific work. So if we want to do that kind of work from source to target using this sidecar scenario, then what's the point of using BODS then? Because you cannot do all the time move all the tables from source to target, and so what's the point of BODS then?
BODS is an ETL tool which helps to transfer the data from source system to target system. And if you have heterogeneous systems, BODS can help to transfer to the HANA. Because in here HANA is a standalone, it's a standalone system over here. So you can consolidate data from heterogeneous systems, get into HANA, do data modeling at HANA, and finally present in the BOBI. It's like every ETL tool does the same way. Like Informatica does, BODS also does the same way. There is no much difference on how this data is moved from source system to HANA. Now BODS is not designed for HANA. It's actually in market from last 15 years. It is introduced way before HANA came into market. And a lot of non-SAP customers use BODS for doing data migration. But specifically in this case, we are using BODS because HANA is a database as an empty, it doesn't have any tables. As per the requirement of the user, we take tables on the ECC side, we import into BODS, and then into HANA, do data modeling and presentation of data.
I understand. Thank you.
All right.
So just quickly solidify your statement you made. So is the business, they give you the requirement and you go on a fact finding mission to find out what exactly the respective table might be migrating to into the target system.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yes, correct.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome. So now all these respective tables are in HANA. It shows you the speed statistics, how many rows have been loaded. You can see the speed statistics, 10,896 rows per second. For a system like mine, now assume in real time how powerful the systems are. So now let us go to HANA Studio. Now let us basically view these tables at the HANA Studio. So we are actually on the last step now. We executed the job and checked data at HANA. So log on to the HANA Studio. Expand the instance. Catalog. Catalog is a collection of schema. Expand catalog. You find a lot of schemas over here. Expand schema. Expand tables. So let us take one table that we just replicated. Let us take table which is very large, like 71,000 records we have in one table, which is the largest table over here. We have 73. 73. This is the largest one. This is the largest one. So now please see, now once the table are in, double click on the table, click runtime info, and you see the table when this table was created. November 16th, 2014. 720. The table is created. The table is a column store, and these are the number of entries, and this is the size on the RAM, total memory consumption on the memory. Now let us try to understand all the properties of the table. Now before that, let me show you the contents of the table. Right click on the table, open content. This shows you the data that is transferred from the ECC to HANA. Double click on the table. There are some important things that we have to note over here. The columnar table is broken down into two parts. Now this is internally that system does. Now the table name is C1 IDEA, and the total number of records we have in this table is 73,665. This table is broken down into two parts. One is called delta and the other one is main area. The total memory consumption for the table is approximately 73,600 total memory consumption is 27,104 KB. KB of RAM. Now all the data is on RAM. Now the total memory, now 18967 on the delta area, and the other one is on the main area you have 8136. So this is a column table. Let me try to explain this. Whenever we insert data, you're trying to insert, let's say, a record, like order number is 001, amount is 100, product is P01. All the data initially resides in the delta area. So first time, whenever you try to insert entries, it's on the delta area, the data resides over here. So when the system resources are free, the data is moved from delta to the main area, and this is an asynchronous process, and this is known as delta merge. Now what is a delta merge? Delta merge transfers data from the delta area to the main area with the help of asynchronous job. And what is the advantage of delta merge? It achieves dictionary compression. What is dictionary compression? Dictionary compression is a way it can compress data to occupy less footprint on memory. Approximately the compression ratio is 4x compression. If you have 4 terabyte of data on the delta, when you do a delta merge, the same data now occupies only 1 terabyte. Now how does system achieve this? Let me try to explain this, the internal working. Now let us go back to the table, delta main, right click on the table, open data preview, click distinct values. Now let us take the first column, which is MANDT. At the MANDT, which is the metadata, and you have one value which is 800, which is almost repeated 73,655 times, sorry, 665 times. Only one value it has. Let us see. If you go to the raw data, now if you see MANDT, it has only one record, which is called client. Now if you take the other one, let us take another one. Let us take a column. Let us try to analyze other column. FRWAE, it's a currency column. Now if you select the currency column, euros is 38,000 times, USD is 11,000 times, DEM is 20,000 times. So this is the repetition of the values. So it gives the count of the values. So how this is related to dictionary compression? So we tried to see two examples. MANDT is 800, and you see the same count like 73665. And then we saw the other column FRWAE, which has different values in it like USD, GBP, DEM, and basically it gives count. So what system does is, whenever you have repeated columns, so repeated values in a particular column, system maintains a lookup table saying that if you basically take USD, now USD has 3 strings. So each string at the database or on the RAM occupies 8 bits. 8 bits is equal to 1 byte. So USD as a value occupies 3 bytes of data, means actually 24 bits of data. Now if you say one value USD occupies 24 bits, then how many, the count of USD is 11,034. Now when you say 11,034 into 24 bits, now this is the size of the data which is on RAM. So this is the size that I'm talking of one value in a particular column on the delta area. This is on the delta area. Now I'm taking the whole table. Now this is the size 18 KB, 18,000 KB, nothing but approximately, total is 27,000, sorry. So approximately it is 27 MB of data, approximately. So here it occupies 18 MB of data. So in 18 MB, a particular value called USD occupies this. Now when this particular value is actually move on to the main area, right? What the system does is, system does something called dictionary compression. So how does it achieve 4x compression? Now it says USD is equal to 1 and DM is equal to 2. It internally maintains these values. This is called as encoding of data. It does encoding. HANA internally does encoding of data. Now encoding is nothing but converting from strings to integers. So when it converts strings to integers, it means that string is USD. It occupies 24 bits of data. Now when we convert string 24 bits into 1 bit integer, because we say USD is equal to 1. So this is a lookup table. So based on this lookup table, wherever it sees USD, it doesn't actually store the actual value, but it only stores the integer value it is assigned to it. The only advantage of this approach is to occupy less space on RAM. When it occupies less space on RAM, customer don't have to invest lot of money in buying memory. Now already HANA is expensive because it stores completely most of the data on memory, and if still SAP is not able to achieve the compression, then customers are not going to buy because it becomes expensive. So that is the reason a column oriented table have a higher compression ratio. Approximately SAP estimates 4x compression. Internally it actually does not store the actual value. It maintains a lookup table for each value. It's assigned to 1. So if you want to store USD, it occupies 24 bits. The same 24 bits is now 1 bit. So it only occupies 11,034 bits of data. instead of 11,000 into 3 times, sorry, into 24 times. So that's why it is able to achieve the compression. Now why would we actually separate the table into two parts is because now when you are actually trying to do inserting of data, if it does compression, when it does inserting, it may take lot of time for inserts, because when you're inserting, if it is trying to process the compression, a lot of system resources are wasted to convert from strings to integers. So delta is a temporary area where you initially dump the data and then move on when the system is actually sleeping at night, because usually system is very busy doing transactions in the morning, especially if you see night. Or after the business hours. Now if you're using the application on top of HANA, the jobs are triggered internally on nightly basis. And again, this delta merge is of 3 types. We'll see practically how this is done, but just I'm explaining theoretically as of now. One is called as hard merge. The other one is known as auto. The third one is called smart. Hard, you manually perform. Auto, system does when the availability of system resources are free. System does auto. Smart, smart is done by the application layer like BW. Now if I go back to the table, in delta storage, let us go to the column FRWAE. This column, the total size of the values it has is 55 KB. On the main it occupies 21, on the delta 34 KB. Now when you right click on the table and perform delta merge, now this is called hard merge. I perform it manually. So please note here you have, let me take a screen print of this. So FRWAE has a total size 55 KB, main size is 21 and delta is 34. Now I'm performing the action merges the committed entries from the table's delta storage into the main storage. Are you sure you want to perform the delta merge operation for the table? Click OK. Now it basically does the merge. There is an error saying that could not execute the merge delta, the column store merge index error. Let me check on this. And there is an issue on the system. Let us again try to do this. Let us refresh. And let us now see FRWAE. Previously, the total size was 55. Now the compression, the total size is 39, because in delta we do not have any data, because it has moved the entire contents from here to here. And if you notice, the total delta storage now is 362 KB. Now what was the previous size? We have written over here. The total size was 27104 KB. Now what is the total size now it takes? It takes only 14 KB. 14 KB of data. The same number of records, but now it is compressed to almost, I think, half of it. Approximately half. But when you see the data is same. So when you would like to see the data, right click on the table, open content. You have the same number of entries, you have the same data, nothing changes. But still we are able to store less memory space. If you want to check the statistics of this table, you can double click on the instance. You can go to the system info, expand systems, double click on merge statistics. If you see the first one, so first time it was error, so there is some error, it shows you the error. You can see all the statistics over here. So I tried to perform hard merge. It was not successful. It was failed, and this is the time. So here at 53:39 I perform hard merge. It failed, and again on the same table. Now the third time system does auto. So after I perform the hard merge, system does auto, automatically it does. Usually all the tables, suppose say you have 200, 300, 1000 tables. This is all done by the system itself. We don't have to do anything, but just to understand the concept, I've done a hard merge. Usually we don't perform hard merge until there is some failure on the system side. But everything is done by system, auto. You could also find smart. Smart is especially for BW systems. So you have tables like /BIC. So these tables originate from the application server. Now if you log on to the BW system, because BW is residing on the HANA database, this is to just understand the fundamentals of HANA, but really in real time, what is our role as a HANA consultant to understand all these things? We don't do any of this, because most of the time this is taken care by the HANA administrators, and even we don't have access to see this, but just to understand how it actually does dictionary compression and how many different types of delta merges are there. This is good to know. Now given a table on the BW system, click display. Now the smart merge is enforced on the application layer tables rather than the tables are on the database. BW merge trigger. So all these statistics can be seen at the instance, and the table for that is merge statistics. Now when it encodes the data is in the form of integers. But my question here is, how does data show again in the form of strings? Please see, again it is showing you strings, it is not showing you integers, right? When it stores as integers. When it shows back as a string. Now where does it perform these operations? Again converting from integers to strings. It does decoding of data. Now what does decode mean? Decode is again converting back from integers to strings. Now what is the advantage of this approach? The advantage is, let me try to explain this. In a computer you have three main parts. One is the CPU, the other one is RAM, the third one is hard drive. So we store data on RAM. It's a column store. The column store has two parts. One is called delta, the other one is called main. Both are on RAM. System achieves dictionary compression by moving data from delta to RAM main in order to take less space on memory, so that we don't have to buy a lot of memory to save hardware cost. Now here it is encoded. Now when the user actually trying to request the data, again it shows as if the data is not encoded. So here if you have 10 MB of data, usually it does 4x compression. So let us take approximately 2 MB of data here. I've taken 5 times compression. Now whenever you take less space and store on the main area, and then again this data here is encoded, again it actually decodes the CPU, L3 cache memory of the CPU. So at the L3 cache memory of the CPU, system decodes the data, converting back from integers to strings. Especially when it does encoding, that is called as, internally it has a name called run length encoding. Run length encoding of data. So that's the algorithm that SAP has to encode the data. It decodes the data in the L3 cache memory of the CPU. Now most of the time in HANA you have a powerful CPUs, and they are doing nothing but just waiting for memory to provide the data to the CPU. Please see, usually most of the time CPU is idle, doing nothing. It is 0%. So utilization of the CPU is very, very less. Now this is memory. So we execute the algorithms, decoding algorithms at the L3 cache memory of the CPU. Now these algorithms are executed on the fly. Decodes and gives back data to the user. So that's why it again shows you the same strings back. The only advantage of this approach, less space on RAM. When it takes less space on RAM, it can faster transfer to the CPU, because it doesn't have to load lot of data. It has to load only minimal data because data is encoded. Once the encoded data in the L3 cache memory of the CPU, it decodes the data by utilizing the entire power of the CPU. And finally sends the results back to the user. Columnar table.
Which one is the integers column?
I'm sorry, please come again.
I said you showed us the string column, but which one is the string when the data converted from delta into main? Which one? That's the one your cursor is on? Integers?
This is the one. 800
Okay.
is the integer value.
Now earlier you said that this is it's nice to know as a consultant how the transformation takes place, but it actually is actually done by admin, right?
Yeah, this is taken care by admin. So admin actually looks into all the detail.
Yeah, go ahead, finish it.
I'm sorry. Please come again.
Yeah, go ahead, finish it.
Oh, okay. So what I'm trying to say is this is all monitored by admin. What is the size of delta? What is the size on main memory? And the system is effectively able to compress. Are there any errors? All this is monitored at this table. Merge statistics. Because usually when you double click on the instance, now this is actually taken care by the, now all the access that I'm seeing now is the access of the administrator. Now a consultant will not have access to this, to the landscape, alerts, performance, configurations that we do at the database. So this is relevant to admin. And once you double click on this, show merge statistics. Now here you can see the admin can start seeing any errors or whatever so reason here. Yeah, sure.
Then what would a consultant would do? I mean, as far as the functionality goes, or their job or their responsibilities consist of.
The consultant consists of data modeling. For example, here we create different data models like this. So there are a lot of things that consultant has to do as a part of his role, especially data modeling, data provisioning, SLT, DXC, and finally the presentation of data. So most of the time the consultant spends his time on designing the data models. So he creates different calculation views. So it's time to create data models. We create different kinds of data models. So this would be the role of the consultant.
SQVI, yeah.
Okay, so just to conclude on this topic, so when you replicate the tables from source to the HANA system, the tables are column oriented. It has two parts, delta and main. When you insert, data goes to delta. It's in raw data. System does hard, auto, smart. System has the capability to do hard, auto, smart. Hard is manual, auto system does. Smart is triggered by the application server. The data footprint on the main is almost 4x compression compared to delta. The main advantage is to take less space on RAM. Less space on RAM, less money to buy hardware. And it can load faster to the CPU. So when it loads faster to the CPU, we can utilize the full power of the L3 cache memory of the CPU and does decoding of data and finally presents data back to the user. Any questions on this? Please go ahead. This is only the fundamentals I'm trying to give. I haven't started anything about data modeling yet, but we're just seeing the fundamentals of HANA.
So now there's no data reading will take care from delta and also main in case both are much better.
Exactly, exactly. Perfect.
Now, Gajana, you will be providing recording on an everyday basis, or will be a weekly basis, or how that?
I'm sorry, what's that? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry.
I say you mentioned yesterday, if I heard you correct, that you would be providing recordings on,
Yeah.
on the sessions on a day. Would it be on a daily basis or be on a weekly? Would you be sending us yeah.
In once the session is completed, immediately you'll have the recording. But
No.
this we are waiting for the participants confirmation. So once that is done,
Okay.
then I will send you everything.
Right after the session is over.
Yeah, exactly. We would upload to the shared drive, and then we will be giving access to the individual
Right.
people. Individual people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we done for the day?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So, Juna, I have one question to ask you.
Please, Mohammed, please go ahead.
Yes, in order to practice, do you prefer we have to go through the your videos, or do you prefer we go with the H100?
Whatever I'm teaching you in the class, that would not be available in the material at all, because these are actually, to tell you very frankly, out of my experience, I've found out all this. I'm teaching out of my experience from last 3 years. But if you see the material, it's very generalized, most on the theoretical aspect, to tell you very, very frankly.
Right.
So that would be most on the theoretical aspect, but you would not find any of these exercises that I'm doing now. That is, it is something like I customized for participants to understand the training. Because that material is something like SAP uses for their standard training, because each material will only take 2 days to complete for them. Because they basically run through all the PDF, and then it is most on the theoretical aspect. You can refer to those sessions, to the material, but you can keep it for your reference on the theoretical. But you can refer to the hands-on, especially on the videos part. That is my advice.
Sounds good. So, I mean, whatever you send us in terms of snapshots or videos, we have to follow that. It is more beneficial for us. Is it right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct.
Thank you very much.
Okay, then thank you. See you on the next week.
Yeah,
Same time.
Nagarjuna, one second.
Yes, please, Banu.
Hello.
Yes, Banu, please.
Nagarjuna, Mahendra here.
Yeah, Mahendra.
Yeah, tomorrow, I think this is the weekend batch. Tomorrow, which
We-
time the other batch is there?
You can call me on my personal number. I given you, right? The class.
Isn't your personal, because when I try to call that, it is going to Surya Academy.
Yeah. My assistant will take up the call, and then she will talk to you. Tell them that you wanted to talk to me. She will connect to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, can I connect with Uganda?
Yes, please. You can connect. Yes.
Okay. Because for tomorrow, if I want to complete the course before 10th of December, we need to attend multiple.
Yeah. Connect. Okay.
And tomorrow, do you have any class at the same time?
We will talk offline about it. Kindly.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Hey, Nagar, this is Sanat. I didn't see connections on the EPC logout, like ECC connections. Who should I ask?
Yeah. So, could you please provide your username?
My Sanat SNATH.
Okay. And then can you please type in your password in the private chat? Please use private
Sure.
chat. Please do use private chat.
I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Thank you. Don't use public chat. You have all audience, and below you have my name. Thank you. Okay. So what you can do, you can just write me an email. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I just did it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me check. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you don't have in the SAP login, is it?
The SAP login, I didn't see any connections.
All right, Sana. Is this fine?
Okay. Yeah, you already done?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see. Oh, yeah. Please see. Please check, Sanat.
Okay.
You could see here, right? I've done to your user ID. Yeah, Sanat.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome.